Welcome, everybody. We are live here in Warfield, Kentucky, as I got JJ Pruitt to my left, Bradley Dameron from the main streets of Marbone Creek, and I'm Darryl McCoy here on this beautiful Monday morning. How you doing, Bradley?
Doing all right, Darryl, except, man, every football team I love this weekend, excluding our local teams, they didn't do well, Darryl.
Well, we'll get into that. Very frustrated with the UK football game, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But Bradley, been a rough. I slept in a little bit today. I had a lot going on. Had the OPB Swish game yesterday. JJ was at Naugatuck watching some Little League football. How'd that go?
I'll tell you what, it was really entertaining, Darryl. I mean, the first two games Logan ended up taking, but then the third game, which was a varsity game, Tug Valley ended up pulling it out.
So Tug Valley got the important one.
I would say that each and every game was important, but
varsity's always more important than JV.
Well, the main event, Tug Valley ended up taking it down. And I'll tell you what, they got a quarterback on that team. He's a lefty. He can throw the ball.
Yeah, JJ got a call a couple of my little cousins, I guess.
Oh, who was they?
The Brumfield twins, Cash and Silas.
Oh, okay.
Cash money.
That's Cash money, baby.
Yeah, that's what we call him, Cash Money. That's a bad boy.
That's what I call him too. That's what he had a catch here a while back. His mom posted it. So okay, you know how it is around here. His mom is a cousin on my dad's side of the family, but his dad is my cousin on my mom's side of the family. They're not related, but they were both related to me.
I've got a cousin like that.
Yeah, so like their kids are they're like second cousins, but they're pretty closely related second cousins.
Yeah. Well, you do live in West Virginia.
We do. We do, man.
But as we're getting ready here, guys, today is September 16th. So we're halfway through the month, a little over halfway through the month, and JJ is going to tell us what we have for this day in history.
The year was 1620. On this date in 1620, English colonists aboard the Mayflower set sail for America, where they founded Plymouth, Massachusetts, after 41 men, including William Bradford and Miles Standish, signed the Mayflower Compact.
Now, that when you sit there and look, that had to be one of the scariest things in the world because, nobody knew what was out there. And you cross the ocean on a ship that you built. I mean, that had to be, in its own right, something that was, crazy just to be able to take and say, okay, we're going to build this ship, that's going to take us across the ocean. But then for you to even know, if there was anything, let alone, because a lot of people, at that time, I'm sure, they probably didn't know whether the world was flat or round. And, probably was no guarantee, to them. So that would have been a scary voyage.
Yeah. And hats off to them for having the ability. I mean, it's still fascinating to me, the quality of stuff that they were able to build back then with the amount of resources that they had.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And, I don't know about, but, whenever you take and look at that, like how many firearms do you bring? How you portion out your food? That would have been all hard decisions.
Absolutely, especially in 1620.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something, Bradley.
That is something. By the way, have you guys ever seen a picture or been to Plymouth Rock?
No.
It's much smaller than you would think it would be. It's more like the size of a rock you'd see alongside the
what she said
creek bank.
It's size of a creek bank.
No. Like how you might see like a rock sticking out like the side of on a creek bank. It's about like that. You can walk up to it and lift your leg and put your foot up on it.
Oh wow! I was thinking Plymouth Rock would be as massive rock.
I always did too. And then when I saw it, I was like, huh.
Well, JJ, what else we got?
The year was 1919 when the U.S. Congress granted a national charter to the American Legion, an organization of U.S. war veterans.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big day in history.
Absolutely. I mean, anything for the veterans.
Yeah.
For sure. And then I got one last one for you, Darryl and Bradley. The year was 1993 when the sitcom Frasier, a spinoff of Cheers starring Kelsey Grammer, debuted on NBC and became one of the most popular American television shows of the late 20th century.
Can I be a little truthful here with you guys?
I would imagine you probably never watched it.
I know I've watched it, but I did not enjoy it.
I've never seen it.
What about you, Bradley?
I thought Frasier was so-so. I enjoyed some of it, but overall it wasn't one that I found to be must-see TV.
Yeah.
Now, I really like Cheers. I think Cheers is one of the funniest shows ever made, but Frasier just wasn't quite it.
Well, as we sit here, other things this day in history, 1965, British singer Davy Jones changes his stage name to David Bowie to avoid confusion with the monkey of the same name. So I guess the Monkees had a guy named Davy Jones.
Yeah, the lead singer of the Monkees was named Davy Jones.
Well, and that's why David Bowie changed his name to David Bowie.
Well, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I still, man, it blows my mind that David Bowie's that old though.
Yeah.
I was thinking, he was just now probably in the 60s, 70s.
Yeah, one of my favorite songs by Nirvana was a David Bowie cover. The Man Who Sold the World. That was David Bowie, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah. If you've ever watched the Nirvana Unplugged performance, he did a cover of a song called The Man Who Sold the World, and I believe that was originally a Davey Bowie track.
Did not know that. Did you, Bradley?
I did not. I'll be honest with you. I'm not as familiar with David Bowie's catalog as a lot of people, though. So.
In 1973, Buffalo running back O.J. Simpson rushes rushes for a then NFL record 250 yards in the Bills' 31-13 win at New England. Let's see here as we got
second most impressive run of his life.
Yep. 1974, U.S. President Gerald Ford announces conditional amnesty for U.S. Vietnam War deserters. So that was a big day, and it's a shame that it didn't come any sooner because of, Muhammad Ali spent his prime in jail, and
the war wasn't
for draft dodging.
For draft dodging.
Yeah. Also, Sammy Sosa becomes the second player to hit 50 or more home runs in 3 consecutive years in this day in history.
Oh, wow.
So big shout out there.
Joining Mark McGuire's,
Yeah.
I still remember 1998, the year when they was chasing 70 or the home run chase. I mean, that was the peak of baseball, I feel like.
Yeah. That most entertaining baseball ever was, and baseball probably will never be that big again.
Unless they have like an all-juiced league or something.
I missed seeing McGuire tie Roger Maris's record by 1 game. I went to see him play, and he didn't hit a homer that game, and he tied the record the next game.
Oh, I would have been furious.
Absolutely.
Oh, man. It is what it is.
1977, Beatles' Ringo Starr releases single Drowning in Sea of Love in the UK. Are you familiar with that one, Bradley?
Not really. I mean, if you had me choose between Ringo or Paul McCartney, I'm always going to choose Paul McCartney. But
the only Ringo song I'm familiar with is A Little Help from My Friends. I believe that's the one that he did.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Not. I never was the biggest Beatles guy, anyway.
I hate the Beatles. I think they're way overrated, vastly overrated. The Arnold Schwarzenegger becomes an American in 1983. Australian weightlifter and actor Arnold Schwarzenegger becomes a U.S. citizen on this day. 1984, first broadcast of Miami Vice.
How did I miss that one?
Yep.
That's a classic.
Let's see. 1988, the bad boy Cincinnati Reds, Tom Browning pitches a perfect game, beats Dodgers 1-0 on this day in history.
Now that is a significant moment in history as far as sports go, because if you think about it, there's been like 200,000 or 300,000 baseball games that have been played, and only like 24 have been perfect games.
Oh yeah.
Tom Browning is one of the fastest working pitchers I ever saw in my life. He didn't need a pitch clock. You know they have the pitch clock now.
Yeah.
Tom Browning would have been beating the pitch clock easily
Here's one that involves probably one of my least favorite human beings. 1989, 14th Toronto International Film Festival. Roger and Me, directed by Michael Moore, wins the People's Choice Award. I am not a Michael Moore fan.
This is the guy that directed Bowling for Columbine? Was it the same guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he won an Oscar for that.
Yeah, that dude's an idiot. The 1990 Iraq televises an 8-minute uncensored speech from George W. Bush. So why would Iraq televise it?
I mean,
maybe they don't know that they're coming at us or something.
Maybe. I tell you, man, some weird things went on during all that stuff with Iraq. Like I remember the Iraqi information minister talking about like how the U.S. troops were not anywhere near the city, while behind him in the background you literally see a U.S. tank rolling down the street, firing shots, and stuff.
Yeah,
and it's like, I don't believe you.
Yeah. Here's another one. 1993 Minnesota Twins. Dave Winfield is 19th to get 3,000 hits.
Seems weird that man ever played for the Twins.
Yep. Let's see. 1995 Greg Maddux of the Braves sets record with 17th consecutive road victory.
Oh wow.
Yeah. 1996 courtroom reality show Judge Judy with Judge Judith Scheindlin premieres in the U.S. Baseball record here, 1996 Minnesota Twins. Paul Molitor becomes 21st player to reach 3,000 hits. Wow, a lot of 3,000 hits on this day.
3,000 hits, and you got Greg Maddux doing his thing.
Yeah.
Big baseball.
1997, Apple Computer Inc. names co-founder Steve Jobs as interim CEO. 1997, Mark McGuire signs with the St. Louis Cardinals for $26 million.
Oh, wow.
Let's see. Now, in 1999, 14.8 inches of water, Hurricane Floyd dropped on Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, state record. 1999, first ever Big Brother reality show begins in the Veronica Channel of the Netherlands. Wow, I did not know Big Brother was that old.
What year was
it started. Well, I mean, it started like you say in the Netherlands. It's one of those shows that did well in Europe, and then they brought it over to the U.S.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
They also here another baseball record. We mentioned that one. 2002 talk show Dr. Phil with Phil McGraw and co-created by Oprah Winfrey debuts in Cindy US TV. So a lot of big shows. Judge Judy, Dr. Phil, all of them starting today. Let's see. 2007 Emmy Award for The Sopranos, 30 Rock, and James Spader and Sally Field all win Emmys. Then let's see, 2011 critically acclaimed movie Drive, starring Ryan Gosling, is released.
That's a really good movie. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but
I have seen it, but
Yeah.
it's been a long time. Let's see. If we can find anything else here that's interesting before we move on to the birthdays. And nope, that is it. And JJ seen earlier Jamal Lewis rushed for 295 yards, which is a rushing record. So OJ and Jamal Lewis both broke the record on this day.
That's pretty wild. Those on the same day.
Very wild.
Yeah.
So what else we got, JJ?
Well, we got a couple of celebrity birthdays. We're going to go with Nick Jonas. I mean, I'm not really familiar with his music, but he's supposed to be like a pretty good pop star for like a teen pop star sensation or something.
You're not a Nick Jonas fan?
I don't know anything about.
I like the Jonas Brothers.
You're not down with the Jonas Brothers?
I don't know one Jonas Brothers song.
You've heard of the Jonas Brothers song?
Never.
Yes, you have.
I can't think of one.
Yes, you have.
But I'll tell you what, up next we got Flow Rider.
Flow Rider.
Yeah, everybody knows Flow Rider. We got BB King. I would consider him like what, the Godfather of Blues or one of the Godfathers of Blues.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, David Copperfield.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
David Copperfield, when I was younger, that he was Vegas, and the one of the most notorious magicians ever.
Yeah, he was really good.
JJ.
You're gonna get us cut off.
Yeah. That's not
I have no idea. I don't know one single.
Yeah, you'll have to go to their individual careers was a lot better.
Darryl, I got to cut you off. We got somebody in the comment section. An individual, you know who Giovanna Layfield is by any chance?
Yeah, absolutely, I do.
Yeah. Go Swish, baby.
Is she in it?
Yeah, she's just in the comment section. Yeah.
That's right. Go Swish.
I have no clue.
Giovanna Simon.
I have no clue.
Listen, the Giovanna Layfield now, I guess what? We was going to save that, but we'll talk about the Swish game here in just a second.
Absolutely.
But first, I want to wish happy birthday to Facebook friends Brian Stacy, Tulsa Rebels head coach.
Great dude.
Coach Stacy, sure he's driving an 18-wheeler somewhere right now, probably listening to us. Jamie Hager from Pikeville, happy birthday, Jamie. Avante Higgins, happy birthday, Letcher Central Cougar. Let's go on down here as Braxton Tharp, former Paintsville Tiger, happy birthday. Caden Boger of the Belfry Pirates line, the Coach Boger's son. Nick Kidd of the Prestonsburg Black Cats. Jordan Perry, JP, Pikeville assistant coach. Wow, a lot of big birthdays today.
Oh, yeah.
And Tim Welch. Happy birthday, Coach Tim Welch. So there's that. And, guys, before we go to break, we'll talk a little bit about the PB Swish game since we got Giovanna on. Guys, I'm telling you right now, Giovanna Layfield, she didn't come away with MVP, and I don't know how, because she was amazing, Bradley.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And Darryl, before I forget, we had one more birthday in there.
Okay, who's?
Christy Watts brought up. It's Brady Vance's birthday today, too.
Oh, okay. Happy birthday, Brady.
Yeah, today's a really good day.
I didn't want to forget that one. I mean, I know we'll talk about Giovanna and the Swish just a second. I think she'd forgive us for this one, too. But
yeah, Brady, you guys seen Brady on the ESPN documentary earlier in the startup career as we brought Brady on the show. Great kid.
Very knowledgeable with sports, too.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff.
And I got to meet him a few times after we interviewed him at some ball games. But as we move on, guys, the OPB Swish last night gets a huge win over the Greensboro Kaos, and you know how hard it is to beat a team 3 times. Well, OPB Swish went and got it done.
Absolutely.
And you know what's so impressive, Darryl, is right now, you know, the Swish have only lost 2 games this year, and they're heading to the Final Four of the WABA in their first year of existence.
Yeah, and little tidbit, you know, I don't know whether or not it will go through, but the league office, WABA league office, called us yesterday and is in talks with us, wanting us to come down and do the playoffs and the All-Star game. So would be huge if we got the opportunity to do that. So, but Giovanna Layfield, if you guys have not seen this girl play, I'm telling you, you know, her motor, you know, the Swish really struggled at the beginning of the game. I mean, you know, I think we was 3-4 minutes in the game before we even got the first bucket from any team. But then Greensboro, you know, they led for the majority of the first half, and but Giovanna Layfield kept the Swish in it. Her motor was a difference. I mean, loose balls, rebounds. I mean, I don't know her official stats, but I could have very well seen her having a 20-20 game last night. I mean, she was that dominant on the glass. And, you know, Michaela Epps ended up MVP, and she well deserved it. She turned it on, made the big plays down the stretch. But Giovanna Layfield, you know, anybody that was there tell you she was a big reason why the Swish won that game, and a big reason why they stayed in it in the rough parts. So as we're sitting here, they'll move on. I don't know who they play yet. I think it's October 5th and 6th. 4th, 5th, 6th is All-Star and playoff weekend. But
they play the DC Cyclones according to the WABA website.
Okay, so play the Cyclones. That's a team they ain't played yet this season. You know, and this was very impressive considering, guys, that you know, Coach Weffenstedt is, you know, he brought a expansion team to the playoffs. You know, that's very rare that an expansion team comes in a league and is able to dominate like they have this season. You know, ended up and listen, yesterday, you know, the good thing that the Swish, you know, has in her back pocket is Dacia Thornton probably played the worst game that she could play.
Yeah.
And they still won. And Carla Booth, you know, I mean, it took her a long time to get started yesterday, but she was playing really good defense the entire game. And, you know, Dina Darryl come up really big in this one. Yeah, Carla Booth, Dina Darryl, Michaela Epps, Layfield, and Victoria Dunlap was the driving forces, you know, of this win. But and also Kennedy Stacy played a big part in it as well. But you know, I couldn't be more tickled. You know, the Swish come to Eastern Kentucky as an expansion team. They brought basketball here, showed a lot of young girls that there is life after high school and college, you know, in basketball. And now Carla has brought a huge opportunity to folks in the Bluegrass State here and surrounding states with OPB Swish. This is a big deal.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, I really enjoyed covering the games yesterday with the Midget League, but I was a little jealous that I didn't get to go to the game with you, Darryl. I know I missed it. I was tuning in while trying to do the camera and keep up with the score. And I'll tell you what, I'm really proud of the LPB Swish.
Yeah, that's well, the little thing, you can't do that yet. You've got to focus on the camera.
It was a playoff game.
Okay, but you still, though, this is your job.
I know, but it was
this is your job.
I turned into a fan.
Do you want to and that cannot be done. You cannot be a fan in this. That's just
JJ, you got to document the rise of Silas and Cash Money.
Yeah, you let everybody else be a fan. Bradley, I ain't told you yet. JJ missed a play. He missed a touchdown the other day, or a big play by Aiden Burke because he was being a fan and didn't move the camera.
It was my first time running the camera. Hold on now. You got to give me a pass. It was first time.
But your second time, you was being a fan too and watching your phone.
But and
the only time you should be on your phone when you're running the camera is when you're looking at your game, so you can read the comments off the people.
Well, this sports network just offers so many games, and I'm just, it was a playoff game, man. It was
He's
intense.
in See, I was at the sports desk. By that I mean right here in my chair.
Yeah,
well, I was able to look at 3 games at once.
Yeah, you was very lucky.
And Joe Kendra says, JJ, you got to pay your dues, man. And
he's right.
The thing you got to understand is when you're sitting there doing that and you're trying to be a fan, all these other 50,000 fans ain't getting to see what they're doing because JJ's probably going to miss a play whenever he's sitting there looking at his phone. You allow other fans to be fans.
My main man, Carl Whitey Little, he's on my side. He's got my back.
But that's one thing, especially until you get 2-3 months into your belt on the camera, you do not watch other games because you got to watch the comment sections on your game to where you can read the comments off 24/7. Because guess what? When 90% of the time, if there's no sound, if your sound's bad, that's what they're going to tell you in the comment section. So if you're not watching it, then you don't know that, and you go an hour and a half in the game before you realize, oh, my sound ain't on.
Valuable lesson learned.
and not to pile on anyone from the past, but I know we've had someone go like a long time with no sound, do like an entire game, and then you go back listen like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, we've seen it happen quite a bit, and so that's why it's important. Joe Kendra says, "Love you, JJ."
Love you too, my man.
Honestly, we love JJ too. I know we pick on him some, but man, JJ. He works his tail off though for us.
JJ has been awesome. I just like picking at him. Guys, we're going to take a commercial break. We'll be right back as we'll get into things when we come back. Come right back and join us here on the Startup Morning Show here on the D&D Sports Network. Award-winning tire shop that focuses on customer service that's family-owned and family-operated. Stop by and see our friends Jeremy and Chasta at Punk's Tires. If you have a hectic work schedule and you're looking for a non-stressful, convenient way to buy tires, take advantage of Punk's Tires Appointment Saturdays. If they don't have the tire you're looking for, they guarantee it to have it the next day. Punk's Tires can take care of all your needs in tires, wheels, wheel alignments, brakes, rotors, minor mechanic work, and more. They'll treat you like family from the second you walk through the door. Come see us in Virgie, Kentucky, or give us a call at 606-639-TIRE. That's 606-639-TIRE.
Ready to rev your engines and hit the trails on October 10th through the 13th at the 23rd National Trail Fest in Gilbert, West Virginia. With miles of award-winning trails, sanctioned drag racing, live music, and thrilling poker runs, there's nonstop excitement for everyone. Indulge in mouth-watering food and discover unique finds from our vendors. Located in scenic southern West Virginia, it's the perfect escape from it all.
In America, what does that mean? It means jobs. It means craftsmanship. And when it comes to Vaughan Bassett furniture, it means value. And Kemper recognizes that. That's why they've dedicated an entire gallery to Vaughan Bassett. Made in America. See the quality. And now, see the price. Come see your favorite Kemper store in Hazard, London, or Somerset.
Back here on the Startup Morning Show, JJ Pruitt, Darryl McCoy, and Bradley Dameron. As guys, we're sitting here. Joe Kinder says we can pick on JJ, but nobody else can. Absolutely right.
We're not going to put up any more hot two of grannies either.
That's it. That's
Grannies
it.
be coming out of nowhere. I'm telling you, shoot, got me some groupies.
Yeah. JJ said, "Don't run them off, Bradley."
Yeah, the old folks home, That's where it's
I don't know if I would want them hanging around JJ. That's your call, man.
As you're sitting here looking, guys, we got a lot of big stories as a lot going on around the world, and we'll get to a couple topics because we know a lot of people's wanting to talk about the high school football, and let's talk about a couple of topics before we get to high school football. Does that sound okay with you guys?
Yeah, I'm cool with it. Absolutely.
Okay. Aja Wilson reaches 1,000 points, becoming the first WNBA player to do it in a season as Aces get the big win over the Kinetic Sun, which the final score in that one I do not have here.
Oh, but I've got it for you. 84-71.
All right, there you go. Yeah. So big deal, JJ. Tell us about this.
So Wilson hit a pull-up from the elbow with 2 minutes left in the game to reach the mark. Earlier this week, the Aces star broke the single-season scoring record that Joel Lloyd set last year. Las Vegas called the timeout about 30 seconds later, and her teammates mobbed Wilson. She then went out onto the court and acknowledged a loud ovation from the crowd, clapping her hands. I'll tell you what, this is really impressive. Like the first person to ever get 1,000 points in a single season. I don't know if there's more games being played in the seasons compared to years ago, or if it's the same. But if it's the same amount of games that they've always played, Darryl, that's pretty impressive. If it's never been done before.
Well, they play. I think they play a little bit more games right now than they did before. But it's still, it don't matter. That's an impressive feat to be the first ever to reach that milestone. I'm surprised it hasn't ever been done, but I dare to say it's going to be broke sometime soon with Caitlin Clark in the league, as she dropped 33 yesterday as well.
She is phenomenal, I'm telling you.
So
I knew it was going to take maybe 3 or 4 games for her to get adjusted to the league, but
yep.
I think.
Well, I tell you, I'm going to just say this:
4 years that should be running the league.
Aja Wilson, that was huge for her though to be able to take and get that done. Though that's something nobody ever be able to take from her.
Well, and I'll tell you this about Aja Wilson.
Let's move on to our next topic here, guys. And this one here has surprised me that it hasn't been talked about more. Donald Trump, the subject of an apparent assassination attempt at his Trump National Florida Golf Club via the FBI. So FBI says it. So, guys, why is this story being buried? I've not seen it on the internet, none. I've seen it. Of course, you seen it from AP News, but it's not normally something like this you would see all over Facebook.
And I believe I even
Twitter.
saw the governor of West Virginia. He posted he talked about it, but even then, I think that the reason why it's not being talked about as much is because it might have been an FBI report or something, but not literally like somebody shooting at him and missing. But I think that.
Well, they said what had happened. They said whenever Trump golfs, that they send a Secret Service agent a hole in front of him, and said that he was heading to the 9th hole, and the Secret Service agent, while ahead of Trump, seen a rifle sticking out of a fence.
Oh,
and
wow.
They ended up finding backpacks and a backpack full of ceramic tile and a GoPro. So he was going to record it. Jesus. And they said that way it took that they ended up shooting him, but I think he's in custody.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's crazy is if I'm in this situation, I'd be scared to go golfing because there's so much.
Nah.
Yeah, there's so much area that can't be covered on a golf course. I mean, there are some holes that are like 500 yards, and then there's some holes that are like 200 yards. So I would imagine you would need more than one Secret Service agent to keep them protected.
Absolutely. You would think so.
Yeah.
Bradley, can you tell us why it's being covered up?
Darryl, I honestly couldn't tell you why.
And Bradley,
that's one of the things. It seems like this should be bigger news that a second confirmed assassination attempt, here in very recent months on a man who's run for president of the United States. And it doesn't matter if you like him or not. I mean, you can't have this in a democracy. You cannot have
not at all.
No,
firing shots at a candidate. And I tell you, listen, I'm just glad they didn't succeed, not just because, I don't want Trump to, be shot and killed like this, but you worry about then what happens with retaliation, and then where does that end?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And if you look throughout history, Darryl, like how many assassination attempts can you really think of that have happened? I mean, this is 2 in the last, month and a half?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got obviously Lincoln, Kennedy, Reagan was an attempted one.
Yeah.
I mean, who else was maybe Gerald Ford or no? There was who else got somebody attempted to assassinate them? Was it FDR maybe? I'm trying to think. Somebody in the comment section.
Lincoln.
Yeah, I mean, I know Lincoln was at Lincoln, Kennedy, and then Reagan. They attempted to take him out. Yeah, and then there was maybe 1 or 2 more. But this is 2 in like the last month and a half for one person.
Yeah,
George W. Bush was overseas, and there was an attempt, but it wasn't like it wasn't it wasn't the best attempt. I'll say that, but there was.
Yeah, somebody threw a shoe at him or something.
No, that was another
an explosive device around George W. Bush at one point.
Yeah.
They no, that was another country where they threw the shoe at him.
Dodged it like a champ, though. Brother got reflexes.
But
man.
But as we sit here and look, though, that's very tough. We got Coach Jason Weffenstadt. Coach Weffenstadt, we talked about the Swish a while ago.
Got to take the windbreaker off again, represent.
JJ got the OPB Swish shirt on today as they advance. And, Coach, congratulations for the big playoff victory. We talked about it, how important Giovanna Layfield was earlier. And if Coach Weffenstadt wants to call in, he definitely let us know, Coach, and we'll send you a link over. But guys, as you sit here, we got about 5 extra minutes we can spend with him today. But as you sit there and look, though, Trump, if he gets assassinated, it could put this country into a civil war. I could very well see something like that happening.
I'll have that.
We'll do it in the morning.
I have that big worry that something like that will happen because one person, this is a very retaliatory society. So,
yeah,
James Garfield was the other president. Yeah,
I knew it was somebody. Yeah, I really appreciate it. I knew it was somebody.
Yeah, the R.C. Phillips, good morning. Good morning to him and Heath Markham as all of our normal fans are starting to pack in here. Whitey Little. Guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to what everybody's waiting for here on this Monday morning. We know what it is. It's football day here in the Bluegrass and in the Mountaineer State. So we're going to get to that when we return from this commercial break. We'll be right back with more Startup Morning Show.
Bruce Walters Kia. By now you know Kia is a great vehicle, and you know they come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. So why should you buy from Bruce Walters Kia? At Bruce Walters Kia, we're going to change your oil for free for life. And what you do with that money you save is up to you. Come check out the 2022 Kia Carnival and the 2021 Kia Sorento. Only at Bruce Walters Kia in Pikeville. Or shop us online at brucewalterskia.com.
Central America, head to Sal's Steakhouse. Sizzle your senses with mouthwatering steaks, juicy burgers, savory chicken, and fall off the bone ribs. Sal's Steakhouse, where your taste buds will thank you. Unleash the flavor at Sal's. Taste tradition, taste the difference.
Back here on the Startup Morning Show, JJ Pruitt to my left, Bradley Dameron to my right. I am Darryl McCoy. As guys, Justin McCoy's in the comment section, says, good morning, fellas. Coach McCoy up early. Joe Kinder says, William McKinley and also involved in a assassination attempt. So, guys, we take and appreciate all you guys for commenting. Also, if you guys would like to call in, give us a call on the Double Quick hotline at 606-230-8911. 606-230-8911. That's the Double Quick hotline. If you got comments, questions, give us a call, and we will take your call and see what you got on your mind. So,
Absolutely.
Guys, let's talk about let's get to football, and before we get to the high school, definitely got to talk about the big game on Saturday. Georgia defeats Kentucky 13-12 in one of the most surprising ball games that I've ever seen. After Kentucky getting spanked by South Carolina, we come back 4 field goals and had a chance to win it at the end. They had the ball with 19 seconds but couldn't drive down the field. The big story coming out of this is, to me, Mark Stoops, continues to be conservative, and it ended up, to me, cost the Cats the victory. Had a chance for right there, had a chance to beat Georgia, and his conservative play calling, like it has many times before, kills the Cats.
Well, my fondest memory of this, Darryl, whenever I pulled into your house, it was 4th down and 8 with 3 minutes left to go in the game, and you was like, surely to God they're not going to punt it.
Yeah,
and they punted.
Yeah,
and then I left, so I didn't know what happened afterwards.
Yep, that was one of them. Bradley, did you watch?
I did, actually. I watched this game, and I do agree with you. He kind of had that whole Neil Brown thing of like play too afraid to win. But also, I'm curious, Darryl. How like all the SEC teams, whenever Georgia and Bama or something, do really well on like SEC. Yep. I wonder if at the SEC office they're going Georgia.
Probably.
There were some calls in that game that were like, I was actually talking to a friend of mine, and I said, I don't know what's going on, but I'm pretty sure that the officials have money on this game.
Oh, well,
there were some pass interference, no calls.
Yeah.
That could have been huge in the third and fourth quarter.
I did see a couple pass interference calls that probably should have been called, but the thing that the 2 instances that I think really costed the Cats is going into the locker room. Kentucky was up 6-3, I think, at halftime. Yeah, 6-3, and they had 9 seconds left. They was on the 30-yard line, and they just picked up the first down with 9 seconds, and he comes out and kicks a field goal. All right. To be a number 1 team in the nation, a team Georgia hasn't had a touchdown that's been scored on them this season, and Georgia hasn't lost a regular season game in I think 4 years. So you have to take chances. And, 9 seconds, he could have took 2 shots to the end zone, definitely one, but could have probably took 2 shots to the end zone. And instead, he just comes straight out, kicks the field goal. That was the first play that I think really hurt the Cats. And then the second one is punting on 4th down. They ended up, I think it was, 2 minutes to go or something like that. They ended up punting, did not have, or they had 1 timeout left, ended up punting there. And, they was on the 50-yard line, somewhere around the 50 or 47, something like that. And they was on Georgia's 47. So, the defense was playing so well anyways, even if you wouldn't have punted, you would still probably got the ball back, So and then he didn't call his timeout before the 2-minute warning also, which ended up hurting them. And they got the ball back with 19 seconds after Georgia was forced to punt it. But, them 2 plays right there, I think, was the difference in this ball game.
I tell you, Darryl, you mentioned the 2-minute warning thing. I know some college coaches don't know what to do with that yet.
Yeah.
They haven't figured out how they can use that to save themselves like precious seconds at the end of the game.
Yeah, well, it's obviously Stoops and them hasn't thought about it. And, you would think that, a game like this, that, Kentucky fans would feel good about it. But I think it almost makes them feel worse knowing like, we could have been the story. And, and another thing, when we got beat by South Carolina, game day was supposed to come here for this Georgia game. And instead, South Carolina not only beat us, they stowed our game day as game day went to South Carolina and LSU. So, the ball has not rolled Kentucky's way this season yet. And that was another example of it.
I tell you, Darryl, I also, when it happened real time, and I know there was more time left, but the last field goal that Kentucky kicked, even at that point, I wondered if they should have gone for it on 4th down. Just because I knew they weren't going to get too many more opportunities. And, when you cut it down to 1, I mean, that's good, but still, I don't know. I would rather see a team lose really going out trying to win than play too conservatively.
That's been Stoops' motto his entire career. Stoops has costed us a lot of big games by not going out to try to win the game. He plays not to lose the game. And, that's always been Stoops' motto. And, I don't think Mark Stoops, there's a good chance that Mark Stoops won't be at Kentucky next season. I hate, at the end of the day, I wish that he would, get some good play callers and give them the freedom to call plays. I mean, we're seeing what Liam Cohen's doing at Tampa. Reports come that, the reason he left is Stoops wouldn't give him any freedom, to call plays. And, it looks like to me, when you go through so many offensive coordinators, eventually there's a common denominator there, and it's a Stoops problem, not a them problem. So, as we move on, Crayson Lafferty says Texas Longhorns all the way. Absolutely not, Crayson. The no hook 'em horns here. There you go, horns down. Just like horns down, L's down. We're all Cats here. Bradley's a Mountaineer, but
I was born in Ashland, so
Oh, there you go. So Bradley's a Cat too. So, guys, let's move on as we're going to announce the Double Quick Player of the Week. Bradley, tell us about Jace Manning.
Jace Manning. Let me tell you about this young guy, sophomore at Fairview. Fairview's 2-1, and he's probably the main reason why, at least offensively. Just look at those numbers, 30 and 53. First of all, he threw 53 passes in a high school game. That's insane in itself. But then 541 yards, 7 touchdowns, 2 picks, but he also had a rushing touchdown. seven tackles on defense and a tackle for loss, but Fairview scored 40 points in the second half to come back and beat Morgan County on Friday night. They trailed pretty big in that game at one point. And
Bradley, as you sitting there, and Morgan County was undefeated coming in this game, right?
They were. They'd won their first 2 games.
Yeah, so ended up Fairview coming back, which we knew this Fairview team had the capability of doing it because we seen them play a couple good teams like Bath County close. So
yeah,
no surprise there. But when you look 8 touchdowns, 7 touchdowns we see. We see it a couple times a season. We see 7 touchdowns. 8 touchdowns, it's very rare. And, to me, when I'm sitting here just thinking, I can only think of maybe 2 instances where players had 8 touchdowns in the D&D era.
It's a rarity. And they needed every one of those.
Can you guess who the 8 touchdowns was from?
Could be from Isaac Dixon.
No. Now, Bradley, that was a bad guess.
Why?
Because Isaac Dixon, after 4, he's going to be took out.
That's true. That's true. Haywood's going to.
Yeah. He'll never get left in long enough to get 8 touchdowns at Belfry.
That's a fair assessment there. Yeah.
But I remember Matt Anderson for Pike Central. I think he had 9. I think it was in that Floyd Central game. He had 9, and I can't remember who the other 8 was. Seems like it was somebody over on our West Virginia side that that went off, but cannot remember. Joe might be able to remember. Said prior to D&D, Jeremy Dillon made 8 a routine. Well, no surprise there. D&D Sports Network, Darryl. What about Darryl?
I think he's asking if
he's a coach.
Oh,
so I don't know. Maybe beforehand, but in the D&D era, who was the other one? I cannot remember, but somebody let us know if that's the case, or if they can remember who that is that scored 8 touchdowns in the last 4 or 5 years. All right, guys. Go ahead, Bradley.
I'm actually pretty sure that at one point Justin Koger, when he was a player, had like a few games where he scored like 7 or 8 touchdowns, and then I actually covered a game years ago when Jordan Roberts from Scott had 8 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, I could see him having 8
in the playoffs.
They said didn't Darryl have 8 at Peaburg? I'm not sure. Darryl, that his years at Peaburg, I think, was when I was in North Carolina. So I don't remember Jarrett as a player. So he's one hell of a coach, one hell of a football coach, but I don't remember him as a player. I've heard a lot about him. But then it could have been a Betsy Lane kid that had 8. Normally your big programs, it's never going to happen at like a Pikeville or Joss Central or Belfry. Normally you don't see them numbers, coming out of players like that. Wait, no, it was it was an Ashland kid. I'll dig into that and try to get that answer before the show, who the other kid was. So as we move on, Bradley, tell us about young Bryce Holbrook and the night that he had.
Oh, let me tell you about Bryce Holbrook. I have to look up his actual numbers, Darryl. But he had a phenomenal game, when Prestonsburg got their win, got the player of the game, and I need to look up his numbers.
He was the save-a-lot player of the game. Bryce Holbrook, you see him pictured there with his head coach, Wes Hager.
Yeah, and he had, pulling it up right now, he completed 9 of 13 passes for 183 yards and 2 touchdowns. Also had 3 carries for 32 yards and a touchdown. And they got a 55-12 win over Lewis County. And you're looking at Prestonsburg right now, 4-0, man.
4-0. Prestonsburg, one of the surprise teams, as they've shocked a lot of people. Now they'll go 5-0 because they got Lewis County this week.
Well, they just played Lewis County.
Okay, they got Pike Central this coming week. Now that's a game that could give them some issues. That's a game that if they look over that game, Pike Central could beat them.
Pike Central has some talent there, and there's been some games that there's sometimes been hard for me to get a read on, but they've played really well some games, and some other games they've struggled, but they're talented though.
We're going to talk about that when we come back. We're going to go over the full slate of games. So if you want to know game by game, we're going to go over them here shortly. Make sure you come right back and join us here on the Start Up Morning Show with Bradley Dameron, JJ Pruitt, and Darryl McCoy. Guys, be right back.
Are now available at Kentucky Mountain Health Alliance Little Flower Dental Clinic. Same day crowns. No more temporary impressions and wearing temporary crowns. Same day crowns. Now available at Little Flower Dental Clinic. We also offer cleanings, fillings, extractions, root canals, and bridges. Call for an appointment today at 487-9505. We accept most major insurances, Medicare and Medicaid, and even a sliding fee scale. Little Flower Clinic, your medical home in the mountains.
Wear a lot of hats. There are coaches, volunteers, church members, neighbors, someone who's there when you need them, especially when you need them most. That may be a lot of hats, but they're all the perfect fit. Kentucky Farm Bureau, big on commitment.
We are back here on the Startup Morning Show. JJ Pruitt, Bradley Dameron, and Darryl McCoy. This segment brought to you courtesy of Hatfield's Funeral Home in Belfry, Kentucky. JJ Pruitt, this is one of your newest sponsors you picked up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And they have been in business for over 54 years, ladies and gentlemen. So if you end up being a victim of a tragedy and you need somebody to try to help you get through it and make things a little bit easier, Hatfield's Funeral Chapel, or Funeral Home, as Darryl likes to call it, is the perfect place for you to call.
Have you ever called it Funeral Chapel, Bradley?
No, but
chapels where you go and worship.
Well, there's chapels and funeral homes too, though. Sometimes.
Yeah, there may be, but you go there to worship, right? A funeral home is where you go to, I guess, go through your services.
Yeah, but funeral homes often have a chapel too.
Yeah,
but I never heard people refer to it as a funeral chapel.
Yeah, me either.
So maybe it's something. Maybe it's they offer a variety. Like they offer not only a funeral home but a chapel as well. Like they put them both together. Maybe
could be. But Hatfield's Funeral Home, Dave Hatfield. Listen, guys, I promise you, you couldn't deal with a better funeral home. My family has used them. I'm 42 years old, and my family's used them the entirety of my life. A little bit ironic there that Hatfields are putting McCoys in the ground, but but they are a great funeral home to deal with. I promise you, Dave Hatfield is the best in the business.
Absolutely.
So JJ also picked up another sponsor. Bradley, JJ has really stepped his game up this week as he picked up another one. Tell us about it.
Quality Metal Roofing, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, they are the perfect place to go to if you need a good quality metal roof. They offer carports as well, free estimates, tremendous people. They will do everything that they can to possibly get you a good deal. And I'm 100% confident that if you need a good quality metal roof, call Quality Metal Roofing and they'll get it done for you.
And where are they?
JJ?
They're located. It's like the Lenore, West Virginia. Yeah, it's like borderline, borderline Lenore. Current, like it's like
no,
like,
it's
no. They are definitely in Lenore.
So close together. Like whenever I'm driving,
they are not close. You got another town in between.
It's like 6 miles down.
It's
like 5 or 6 miles though.
But they're separated by another town.
So it's kind of like Mate 1 and Buskirk, like the distances aren't really.
No, Mate 1 and Buskirk's right beside each other.
JJ, what's the name of the town that's between them?
Between
you was there yesterday. What was the name of the town between them?
We
Between
got
Kermit, Lenore.
Got Kermit, Lenore. That's the only two I can think of. I mean,
where was you yesterday?
I was in Tuck Valley.
What's it called?
Valley?
Naugatuck.
There you go.
Oh, see, that's okay. But all three of these towns are within like a 12-minute distance of each other. That's what throws me off because they're so close together. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, Quality Metal Roofing, perfect place for you to go to get you a good quality metal roof or a carport.
In Lenore.
In Lenore. Yeah,
I got it right the first time.
What famous incident happened to you in Kermit, West Virginia?
That happened to me personally?
Yeah.
Am I allowed to say it on camera?
We talked about it on camera.
He got hot tooed.
Just saying.
By 87-year-old woman.
No complaints.
On his hair, just clarify.
Yeah. Yes,
hey,
to clarify.
The best compliment I have ever received.
So, as guys, as we promised, we're going to get to the slate of games this past weekend. Good slate of games. Let's pull them up here. And we're going to talk Bardstown versus Ashland. Ashland continues to roll with a huge victory over Bardstown. Listed as LeBron Strader the best quarterback in the mountains, Bradley.
Yes. I don't know one better. I think that's I mean,
I would tend to agree. You know, like if you're a college program and you're going to recruit quarterbacks out of the mountains, you know, I think, you know, top of that list is going to be LeBron Strader.
I agree. He's up there. I think we have some other really good ones.
Oh yeah, and we're going to get to them, but you know, we got some stud QBs right now. QB, you know, as you're seeing mountain football transition from being ground and pound into more of an air raid offense, you know, most programs, I mean, you see, when Belfry's passing the ball, you know, things are changing in the mountains, and
it's almost like the 3-point revolution in basketball. You know, we've got a passing revolution in the mountains.
Well, let's take a look at LeBron Strader. Listen, I would be lying if I didn't say if I was excited to go watch a game at Ashland right now.
Oh, fantastic! And I tell you, I like the light show they have there.
Oh yeah, the light show was that was one of the most impressive things that I seen. I seen a bird's eye view of it too. Very impressive. You know, they got the new turf, new scoreboard. They went and renovated Putnam Stadium, courtesy of Clark's Pump and Shop, and which right now we're not fond of because we're double quick people. But it, you know, but hats off to Clark's Pump and Shop for giving them kids in Ashland, you know, something that they can be proud of.
It's nice, you know, whenever you can see that, because I mean you don't see it very often. The high school field with the lights when they go on and off. Yeah, they tried that once in Naugatuck, but it took 30 minutes for the lights to warm back up.
Somebody there's another team around here that does that too. I'll think of it in a minute. Okay, Estill County with the 21-14 win over Bath County. Coach Brewer, listen, Coach Brewer, I hate it because he's one of them teams. He's right there. You know that Bath County is capable of beating a lot of teams they play, but they're never able to finish it off.
And that's kind of a shame. I mean, they're going to get one here.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be – I haven't looked at their schedule, but I think before too long we're going to be talking about Bath County getting a win. They're just too close in these games.
I agree with you. I think that I think they're going to get a win sooner than later.
Yeah.
So as we move on down, Perry Central loses to Bell County 28-12. You know, and we talked about, you know, how hard it is to go to Log Mountain and get a victory. And Perry Central found that out. But, you know, listen, Perry Central, that they get Shelby Valley this coming week. You know, make sure that game right there, keep it on your radar. That should be a fun game to watch. You got two different styles. You got ground and pound versus the air raid in that one. So be a fun one to watch on Friday. Betsy Lane takes care. Now, we done our Survivor League picks on Wednesday of last week, and that was my pick. Betsy Lane over Knott Central, and happened pretty comfortably. Knott Central was undefeated coming into that game, but, you know, I still think Betsy Lane is a different level right now. Knott Central's building it, but they're a little different level right now. Phelps, 36-0 over Bland, Virginia.
Hey.
Yeah, so the Hornets get a big win.
There we go.
And maybe if Justin McCoy's watching, he can tell us, you know, who the star was in that game. But whenever you take and look, the Phelps Hornets guys, they play tonight and they play Friday. Bradley, 3 games in the span of 8 days.
That's wild.
Yeah.
But you
3
know
games
what?
in 7 days.
Football too. Like, you know, basketball is a little different, but football, I mean, it's a much more physical sport.
Yeah,
Iron Hornets.
Yeah.
The Iron Hornets, man. They just keep getting out there.
There you go. Johnson Central now, back in the 90s, this would have been a good game. Johnson Central, well, no, it wouldn't have. Johnson Central wasn't very good back then, but back in the mid-2000s, it would have been a good game. Johnson Central defeats Breathitt 56-35. I'm actually surprised Breathitt kept it as close as they did.
Well, you know, Breathitt hung around with Belfry for a bit too. So
yeah.
So I mean, there's some talent there. Just Johnson Central's just on a different level than Breathitt right now.
The old Riverbank boys. So as we sit here and look, let's see. Next game, Greenup County 55-20 over East Carter. Guys, this shows you how good Tyson Salmons and this Musketeers team is. This is a team that, you know, right now they belong up there in the conversation with the big dogs, you know, with the Belfries, Pikefuls. I don't know if they're Johnson Central Ashland good yet. You know, we'll still see, you know, jury's out on that. But, you know, that's impressive to go to Grayson and get a 35-point victory over Tim Champlin's team.
I agree.
Yeah, so
fantastic for them. They're looking good.
Fairview, 60, 50, 110 total points in that one.
Are we sure they didn't play basketball? I mean, no.
Well,
we already talked about Jace Manning, though, and his fantastic game there.
Went to a football game and a basketball game, broke out. And the Jace Manning had 8 touchdowns, 500 and some yards of offense. Incredible game for him. Justin McCoy can tell us a little bit about that Phelps game the other night, as I see Justin's back on with us there. Rowan County over Fleming, 7-0. Listen, guys, I wowould be remiss if I said that, I ain't, I'm happy I missed that one. 7-0. It was probably a boring game, guys.
Well, you know what? Sometimes you gotta just love that good old fashioned defensive battle, Darryl.
Yeah, you do. But
one of the most exciting games I ever saw in my life was a 7-0 game.
Who was that?
It was a college game. It was a small college game. My alma mater, Shepherd, and Winston-Salem State in the Division II playoffs. And it was like 12 degrees outside, and it was just hitting. I think 3 quarterbacks were knocked out of that game total. I mean, it was just two defenses just wrecking offenses.
I tell you, the coldest game I've ever been to was back in 99, I think it was, when it was 99 or 2. It might have been 2001, I think, when Belfry went up to Lloyd Memorial, and I'm telling you, the coldest game ever been to in my life. Wasn't even close.
The coldest one I've been to is another Division II playoff game. Because oddly enough, when you go into the Northeast and deep into the season, it's pretty cold. It was up at a town the town's name was Indiana, and it was in Pennsylvania. So I was in Indiana, Pennsylvania.
No, wow. The Indiana.
They also have a California, Pennsylvania up there.
I did not know that. We learned something today via courtesy of Bradley. Now, guys, this is the game that we was at for our Friday night football. Hazard 32-31 victory over Letcher Central. Guys, this one right here was a barn burner, and I actually think it was 33-31. I could be wrong, but
it was.
Yeah, I thought so. That game right there, Coach Chandler and them, they come out, looked like Letcher was going to hang with them, and they ended up, Letcher, they hung in there. They was missing their star running back, Kobe Johnson, and Hazard, Letcher's a 4A school, but Hazard had more players on the roster than what Letcher did. That tells you, what Coach Chandler has built there. Coach Chandler, love his emotion, love his fire on the sideline, and he's got 3 players. He's got 3 skill position players, and it don't matter what game he's going to go in, he's probably going to have 3 of the best players on the field, in Max Pelfrey, Gavin Johnson, and Memphis Blankenship. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from this contest. And they did. What they do. No, they hand it Pelfrey. Pelfrey bulldozes his way in. Touchdown, Bulldogs. No, he's going to keep it. Hooper goes off the side. Touchdown, Cougar.
He could be looking at him right here. Fake. No, he goes to the middle. Oh, nice catch.
Touchdown, Bulldogs.
Yeah. Pelfrey takes the snap, pitches the Blankenship to the left side. Got a bunch of blockers. Touchdown, Hazard.
Memphis Blankenship. Holbrook takes the snap. He's going to pass it.
He's got him.
Nice. Touchdown, Cougars. And that's number 9.
There we go. I'm looking for Johnson right here, something.
Uh-oh.
Oh, nice. Look off. Guys.
Touchdown, Bulldogs. Javion Fullwood, second TD of the game.
Straight up the middle.
Pelfrey. Touchdown, Bulldogs. As Hazard scores, got 6. Brett Smith in the end zone as he takes
half, and that's why the score is what it is.
Yeah, they cut down on the penalties. Well,
here we go. Nice pass. He's wide open
Yep.
over there. Nobody on
Smith. How do you let him? And he's got 6. Brett Smith in the. I mean, a lot of offense in this one here, guys. As you said, Hazard ain't had nothing but home games so far. That is true, but you know, at the end of the day, yeah, they're taking care of business, and
they all count.
Every one of them counts, and you know, at the end of the day, this Hazard team, you know, this is a team that you could see. You know, we talked about Pikeville being a shoe-in for Class A. You know, I'm not going to take, you know, that step yet to say that, you know, they're ready to, you know, knock off or, you know, compete regularly with Pikeville. But I can tell you, they got firepower. Their offense, you know, will be able to score against anybody. You know, that they got a 3-headed monster that is hard to tame. And, you know, this game come down 33-31. Carl Waddy Little says Justin McCoy done a great job calling the game with Darryl. Coach McCoy done an amazing job. Hats off to him for the call. He said this was a great game to watch. It was. Gunnar Holbrook, he had a fabulous game himself. Yeah, we'll talk about that here shortly as well.
I just want to mention that we talked about LeBron Strader, you know, being the best quarterback in the mountains. I tell you, man, I think there's an argument to be made for Max Pelfrey the way he's been playing this season too, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, Max Pelfrey, the thing about Max Pelfrey is his size allows him to make any play. You know, he's a lot like a Byron Leftwich. You know, he's a big physical kid that has a heck of an arm on him, and he's also got wheels and the physicality to run over you in the running game. You know, Crayson Lafferty says same officials every game too. Sounds like me, Crayson's a little sore that Hazard, Martin County took the L to Hazard earlier in the year. He says unfinished business, Crayson says. But, you know, that was a tough game all the way around, guys. And the way that it ended, you know, it was an instant classic. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see that, but at the end of the game, they come down in a surprising, I don't know, I would have done that. I can't remember. It was probably a high 30-yard field goal. And they had a chance to win it at the end, and they brought Emma Adams, their girl kicker, in, and she had a chance to win it. And Hazard, I don't know if it came off the side of her foot or if it was blocked, but she ended up missing the field goal. And if Coach Chandler's watching, he can let us know on that. But Justin McCoy said Big Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah, that's a great analogy. Yeah. And but you know, Emma Adams had a chance to win it at the end, and you know, that's all you can ask for Letcher. You know, I'm sure a lot of Letcher fans thought they wouldn't be in that game with Kobe Johnson out. And you know, listen, that just tells you, you know, how good this Letcher team is too, to play Hazard that close. You know, watch out, Hazard's for real, guys.
Yeah, Hazard, man, they're looking really good this year. They kind of been a surprising team for us this year, Darryl. But man, they're cooking. They're for real.
They are. Listen, didn't win a game last year and undefeated so far this year.
Definitely turned things around.
They have. And listen, that's Coach Chandler. He runs a top-notch program. He runs a disciplined team. And, well, no, I take that back. They wasn't very disciplined. You know, that was the other thing. You know, Hazard, they had so many penalties in this game. You know, Kenyon Higgins, he probably had 4 himself, you know, in sportsmanlike conduct or late hits. And, you know, and it was all together. Their team penalties, you know, I'm surprised that they won this game. Very rare can you say a team wins the game with the amount of penalties that they had. So I know Crayson's talking about the officials, and I know some Letcher folks. I seen that they was complaining about the officiating too, but it did not look like on Friday night there was home field advantage, because Hazard had a load of penalties called against them, and there was a big pass interference call at the end of the game that kept them in the game, kept Letcher in the game against Hazard. So said if Hazard cleans up the penalties, they will be hard to beat. I agree. That Pikeville game is going to be a tough one.
I've never seen a losing team really happy with the officials. So
no losing team ever is. So moving on down here, we got Clinton County 50-8 victory over Jenkins. So big win for Clinton County there. Leslie County, Landry Collette and crew 35-6 over Harlan. The Green Dragons go down. Then you got Prestonsburg 55-12 victory over Lewis County, which we mentioned earlier. Bryce Holbrook, player of the game in that one. Now this one here, listen, this Russell team, they've had a couple impressive victories in the last couple of weeks. It looks like they're starting to roll a little bit as they get a 38 win in Salyersville over McGoffin County. Then now this one right here was the game of the night, as Martin County 34-32 over Paintsville. Paintsville ended up jumping up pretty big there in the first half, and Martin County come back in the second half and was rolling. Speaking of Crayson Lafferty, let's take a look at his night. For you guys, JJ, for you that don't know, Crayson played for Paintsville last year, led the state in tackles as a freshman, and now he plays for Martin County. He come out, and this kid was laying lumber all night long. I mean, you talking about hard hit after hard hit. I'll have his stats when we come back.
Yeah, Craig, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I said. When you put your highlight video, you need some metal and not mumble rap.
There you go.
There you go.
That's a kid who listens and takes direction well, Darryl.
That's it. Listen, that's a highly recruitable kid.
Absolutely.
That's right.
As you sit there and look, that was the first thing when I seen that highlight video. I said, he listened to Bradley. And so whenever you sit there and look, though, listen, Crayson Lafferty, guys, this kid is an animal on the gridiron. He's got speed where he can recover and make any play on the field.
He was going so fast, I had to ask you if, that was real time. It was really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, he's the second coming of Mason Lovely. Mason Lovely was like this. Mason Lovely, he was having on. I mean, he got it to where 20 tackle games was a norm for him in his career. He started at McGoffin, finished at Paintsville, won a state title when he went to Paintsville. But Crayson Lafferty, this kid, not only will he take your head off, this kid is wherever the action is, he's at, Bradley. It don't matter whether the play's on his side of the field or on the opposite side, he's going to get there.
Well, as the song was saying, he's going to seek and destroy.
Yeah.
And, but no, plays downfield, head down, just goes and gets it, man.
That's a bad
and fantastic player and a great game by him.
He's a bad dude.
It's a bad man. I'll tell you, I got a question for you, Darryl.
Yeah.
This team, I mean, they look really good, and with the addition of Parker and Peyton, like, do you think they have a shot to make a run in the playoffs?
Yeah, it's about third round.
About third round?
Yeah, and then it'll get a little tough for them. But let's take a look at their offense. There was one of Parker Watts's 2 touchdowns in the second half. Devin Maynard throwing a strike to him. Beautiful ball. The ball, it looked like it was a little wobbly. It wasn't the most beautiful ball, but when you got Parker Watts, all you got to do is throw it up there, and he'll go get it.
Do you remember what my prediction was last week, Darryl? I said Parker was going to get 2 touchdown catches for at least 100 yards. Was I close?
I don't know what his yards was, but he got 2.
Well, yeah, he didn't let me down.
But as you sit and look, though, this team, Devin Maynard, he had a couple big TDs with his feet. I mean, Bradley, Martin County is always going to have a chance because guess what? They're always going to have the 2 best athletes on the field no matter who they play. And then you got a bad man like Grayson Lafferty on defense. This team is going to be scary good, come playoff time, especially as they start to get some chemistry with the new additions of Peyton and Parker.
That's literally their first game?
Yeah.
And already got 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm actually pulling up Parker's stats now as we speak. 2 catches for 65 yards, but both went for touchdowns.
We'll take it.
But I mean, right now though, I mean, listen, you don't have to throw a perfect ball when you have a receiver like Parker Watts on the outside.
No.
Really, the perfect ball is here. Go get it, Parker. That's the perfect ball. You don't have to put it in there. It was like how Dante Culpepper used to play with Randy Moss. It's just like, here, I'm just going to throw it down the field, and Randy will go down there and get it.
And he used to sling it too. Like it looked like he was throwing it like 70 years, and Moss would just go get it.
Yeah, him and Randy Cunningham both had good careers with Moss.
Yeah, he just said, "You know what? Go long. I'm gonna throw it as hard as I possibly can, and you just go get it."
Yep. So as you sit and look, though, just a impressive victory there, and they was down. Come back, surged back with I think they was down over 2 touchdowns at one time in that game. And I know there was a lot at stake. Grayson, as we said, he's a former Paintsville Tiger. His best friend's the quarterback, but he didn't take any mercy on him. He laid some licks on AJ in that game. And, this is very scary. He had 12 points, or he had 12 tackles and an interception. And as you take a look, Coach Muncie, give him a couple weeks. I wouldn't want to play Martin County. So Gideon Jarvis says Parker is one of the best to just go up and get the ball at its highest point. I agree. He said Grayson Lafferty says
his bunnies are crazy.
Yeah, his bunnies are crazy. Grayson Lafferty also says I broke AJ's visor. Wow. Now that's you're laying pops when you break a visor.
Those things are usually pretty break resistant. So
yep. So when you sit here going on, Boyd County 3-0 victory over Mason County. Now that's a game I'm glad I missed. 1 field goal. I'm sure. I hope the defense really put on a show in that one because 3-0. that's like watching paint dry, Bradley.
You know what though? But when it's over with, Boyd County's still going with a win. It counts just as much as if they'd scored 50.
That's it. And Mason County was that's a good win. Mason County was undefeated. The Powell County, the upset of the night, knocks off Pike Central 20-14 in Buckley's Creek.
I was a little surprised by that one, honestly. I think all of us picked Pike Central in that one. So shout out to Powell County for coming through. And sometimes we don't know as much as we think we do. So good job to the Pirates there, man.
Yep, Gideon Jarvis says scored 3-0 in week 2. Said Lewis County over Braxton County in West Virginia last week. Wow, so that's 2 3-0 games. That tells you defense right now is clicking for these teams. Then Pikeville. Now this game, I was watching this on the scoreboard and kept getting updates, refreshing my page. Pikeville barely escaping Raceland 16-13.
Man, I mean those are 2 perennial 1A playoff teams, and yeah, it's I mean I'm sure that was a great game to see.
Yeah, the Gideon Jarvis said he's waiting for a 2-0 game safety. That we had a 2A game either last year or the year before we had a 2-0 game, and I can't remember who it was.
I've seen one before on one of those really muddy fields where no one can move a ball. I saw a safety win a game like that once.
Carl Whitey Little says Mikey Hager has to be one of the best receivers in the mountains right now. Listen, he's showing he is. Joe Kinzer will have his stat report out soon, so we'll see where he ranks up above it, Whitey, later in the week when Joe gets his reports out on Wednesday. Let's see here. Looks like Belfry with a shocking victory, 17.5-point dog takes down Southwestern, getting revenge for last year's loss. I've not seen stats, Bradley. Well, you seen the stats. How'd Chase Varney play in this one?
I'll bring them up. He had a pretty good game. It was I think it was mainly JB Woolham, if I can.
Yeah, I think JB Woolham had a monster game in this one.
Had a monster game. All right, I've got the story up here. Let me find. Chase Varney was 8 of 14 for 143 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. And I mean, again, 143 yards, it pales in comparison to his other game, but 143 yards for Belfry is
still impressive. Yeah,
that's slinging it. But Woolham 7 carries for 157 yards and 3 touchdowns, but he also had 2 catches for 74 yards and another touchdown.
Yep. So he, this Belfry team, their offensive line is going to allow them to win a lot of ball games. But when you look around, they got some impressive players at skill position right now. You got Chase Varney in the backfield. You got the Coddles. You got JB Woolham. You got Austin. Then you also look on the edges. You got Caden Varney. JB Woolham in that passing game. Dante Davis. I mean, this is a Belfry team. All of a sudden, this is a team that has a chance to. And I thought at the beginning of the year, I said, they're probably Final Four. I think this is a team that could win 3A.
I think so too. And I mean, shoot, we've all learned to never count out any Philip Haywood team.
Yeah.
So, but Belfry's looking really good, and they basically told Kenneth Massey to take that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Whitey Little says he thinks Chase Varney is the best quarterback around. Said, and Chris Bishop says, mark it down, Belfry versus Cal in the championship. Well, we'll see. We'll hold you to that one, Chris. And Harley Quillen says that Andrew McCutcheon had a record-breaking day on Friday. Well, tell us about it. I've not seen the stats out of it. Bradley might be able to pull them up if they're on there.
Let me see if they're up this morning. I'll be looking.
So, Coach Barker and crew at West Carter gets a 55-13 win over Floyd Central. Still, Floyd Central winless on the year. The Tug Valley 13-6 victory over Logan. That one's a lot closer than I expected, Bradley.
Maybe a little bit, but I tell you, I mean, when you jump up in a class, West Virginia, it's a little bit closer. Logan's also a little better. They had a close game with Man, and they had 8 turnovers in that game.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Oh, I agree. They're definitely better. They're more compatible. This season they're Brandon Atkins, he runs a stern program, a discipline program, and when they'll penalties, that surprised me in week 1 when he had that many penalties under a Brandon Atkins team. He normally, will cut that off, but that's. To be able to take and play Tug Valley, I know Logan fans definitely think they should win that game every time, but this is a Tug Valley team that has a chance to win state this year. That was, somewhat of a moral victory to stay that close to Tug Valley, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I tell you, and I know right now Logan's only score in that game was an 85-yard touchdown pass where Adam Bazin threw it to Lucas Lambert, and he raced down field with it. And I'm not telling Tug Valley anything they don't know. That seems to be their big thing that they're still going to have to work on, is giving up the big play in the passing game. But Tug Valley's yet to give up a rushing touchdown this year.
Tug Valley also has never trailed in a game yet.
No, they haven't. They have not trailed in a game. So it's that's interesting, and of course Bryson Eli had another big game. But I have Andrew McCutcheon's stats, Darryl.
Okay.
Andrew McCutcheon had 33 rushing attempts for 362 yards and 4 touchdowns, and also had 1 catch for 58 yards and another touchdown.
Wow. So the 420 total yards of offense, that's impressive. Said the record was previously held by Reese Music, who played a couple of years ago. Andrew McCutcheon, he is one, we talked about players that don't get the pub, stars that don't get the pub in the mountains. And Andrew McCutcheon, he's one of them. He's a kid that he deserves to be front page news every week with the stats he's putting up. And, just that he's a big reason why Betsy Lane is doing what they're doing this season, and why you see Betsy Lane right now setting with the record that they got.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And he's definitely one of the most dynamic playmakers we have in the area.
Yeah, I mean, this Betsy Lane team, again, I'm wanting to see them. They're undefeated right now. I can't wait till they play. Once they get to the meat of their schedule, and see how they play against them. But this team, I mean, when you take a look, you got Isaiah Allen, Carter Parsons, Andrew McCutcheon. You got a strong defense, Weston Jude. You got Ty Isom. You got Grayson Lafferty. I mean, you got playmakers on both sides of the ball. That's a team that playoff time. I'm not wanting to play them.
No, I'm not wanting to play Betsy Lane either. But
yeah, and you mentioned Bryson Eli. What was his stat line?
I have it right here. I've got to switch to the different window. He had 24 carries for 174 yards, and he had a short receiving touchdown as well.
Oh wow! So nice night there for him. And then Gideon Jarvis. So does Tug Valley play Westside this week?
No, they play a bit later in the year.
Okay.
Tug Valley's actually going to be off this coming week.
Tug Valley, if I'm not mistaken, they only got like 3 or 4 home games this year.
They have 4 home games. They played their first 5 games on the road.
Yep. So Liberty Raleigh, David Jones, and the Mingo Central Miners get their first win, and Aiden Burke still in the show, guys. As Burke ended up whenever he had himself a night as really just dominating both sides. Burke 7 for 12 passing, 107 yards, 1 touchdown. Also, 11 carries, 95 yards, and a touchdown on the ground. And on defense, he had 7 tackles and an interception, earning himself the Tug Valley Wellness Clinic Player of the Game. And then whenever you go and look on Mingo Central, the other big stat line that popped out to me, Jacob Maynard, the freshman, 18 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss. And Dylan Vance had 8 carries, 108 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Well, he also had a receiving touchdown, and he recovered a fumble for a touchdown.
Who?
Dylan Vance.
So
he had 5 total touchdowns in the game. He also had 10 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries. So
wow.
Dylan Vance had a monster game, I felt, in that one.
Yeah, Dylan Vance, he's just a freak. Dylan Vance, he, as we said, he's a kid that he's going to make his impact felt. Anytime he's on the field, he's got a chance to make big plays. He's got that kind of speed and athleticism.
Oh, absolutely, and
hats off, Coach Jones and them. They come in, and. After that game, after watching it, I kind of feel like the ship has been righted.
They looked like they were more comfortable in their offense. The only thing they're going to need to do is cut down on some of those penalties. And I know Coach Jones will be the first to tell you they had 4 touchdowns called back due to penalties in that game.
See that. That's been the story for Mingo Central the whole season. Is discipline. It's got to be aggravating. For the coaching staff to continue to see that. Game after game after game, and I have a feeling if it keeps up, that they may be a few less players on this team. Just knowing Coach Jones, he ain't gonna put up with that for too long.
No.
Yeah, running some laps, baby. Run some laps.
There you go. Gideon Jarvis says big game this week, Mingo and Man. Absolutely. We'll get to that on Wednesday when we talk about it, but that's going to be a matchup. That right there, if Mingo Central can come get that Man game, then all of a sudden you're like, well, now Mingo's going to, they'll have a chance to make the playoffs and make some noise. You could throw them first 2 weeks away because now you got Aiden Burke at quarterback, so you could say, well, things are kind of fixed now.
Yeah, and Burke looked a lot more comfortable back there at quarterback. He's kind of thrown into the fire, I think, the first week, against Tug Valley where they were still figuring that out.
Yeah.
Looked a little better against West Side, but he looked fairly comfortable against Liberty.
I agree. I think he's getting really comfortable. Tulsa, 48-6 over Mount View.
Rebels still rolling strong. We skipped a game too, Darryl. I just wanted to.
The West Side Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that here in just a second. But as you look, 48-6, this Tulsa game, did you get any stats from Coach Johnson?
Not yet. I haven't got anything, but I tell you, man, Tulsa's rolling really well right now. Darryl, I think they're going to be a playoff team in single A. I've looked at their schedule and stuff, and I think Tulsa is going to – I think when we get down to the end of the season, Tulsa's going to find a way into the playoffs in single A.
Yeah.
And I'm just really, it's really interesting to see how they're going to do as the year goes on. But, that game later here in a few weeks when Tug Valley rolls into Tulsa – I think a lot of people was looking at that as like, well, Tug probably would win, and I'm sure Tug will be the favorites. But that game looks a lot tighter now than it did.
It's gonna be it's gonna be a game. You know, they're gonna have to come to play in that one, because that game right there. That's a losable game for Tug Valley now. You know, and you know they got a lot of physical players on the defensive side of the ball. You know, it's going to be a game where Tug Valley, you know, in past, they've just been more physical and, you know, have better athletes. But this Tulsa team, with them 4 transfers coming in, you know, all of a sudden, Coach Thompson, he has some stuff to work with now.
Yes, he does. And I mean, and this will be a heck of a game, man. We're still a little bit away from it, and Tug's still got another game before that, and Tulsa still has it, you know, but.
Yeah, but, I hate it's in Glen Hayes, though. You know, I wish it was in Naugatuck so we could do that game. You know, at Tulsa, you know, we've not. That's one place that, you know, there's a few places that don't allow streaming, and Tulsa is one that, you know, for the life of me, I don't know why, but you know, I know we got some coaches that would like for that to happen. So, you know, hopefully they can get something done before then, and we can, you know, let people see how great the facilities are and what a nice, you know, program that they run there at Tulsa. So, as we look, man versus West Side, impressive 35-21 victory over man.
Second time in school history, West Side has started out 3-0, and if they win this coming week, it'll be the first time they're 4-0 ever. Caden Vance, I mean, he's also one of our quarterback, better quarterbacks here in the mountains. Darryl, 22 of 34 for 250 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, but also 27 carries for 113 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Well, so, more importantly, Joe Kinzer coming out with the stat of the game: 0-9 on third down conversions.
Well, that's the one thing I think that West Side has much improved on too, is they're in the trenches. They're much better in the trenches this year than they were last year.
I agree. You know, that killed them last year at Mingo Central. I mean, it was embarrassing in the trenches, and Coach Koger, he's got that fixed now.
He does. This is the best West Side team I've seen since probably Coach Koger was in school.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's high praise. You know, they had a couple of good teams there last. I think it was a couple of years ago. They had a solid team, but you know, I think I would dare to agree with you on that, though.
Yeah, I mean, they had a year where they went to the semifinals. That's probably the best West Side team to date. I'm not sure. We'll see how this team finishes up, but it's a pretty good football team, Darryl.
But you know, Dustin Huff says, will Floyd Central win a game this year? I'm sitting here looking at the schedule right now. They got Betsy Lane next week. I'm gonna say no. Pike Central is the win. Well, yeah, they got Knott Central, Pike Central, Prestonsburg, Martin County, Shelby Valley. So if they're going to win a game, it's going to come in the 2 weeks between Pike Central and Knott Central. Those are the 2 games they got a chance to win. You know, and you know, because I don't see them beating Betsy Lane, Prestonsburg, Martin County, or Shelby Valley. Now, the Prestonsburg is a wild card game because that's the Hager Bowl. It's going to be father versus son. You know, so that one there is one where you could possibly see them sneaking in and playing, you know, and being like, okay, you know, we might be able to win that one just because of the circumstances around it.
Yeah, I can see that one. Listen, man, sometimes you just don't know too with high school kids. Sometimes they'll surprise you. You never know how they're going to play 1 week to the next.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's see here. Robert Gray says Kentucky, West Virginia. Is this in Oklahoma? This is Kentucky, West Virginia, Robert. Said, how is Johnson County, which is Paintsville, Kentucky? Johnson Central is doing well. Johnson Central, one of the best teams in the state, Robert Gray. they have a chance to win a state title in Class 4A. They are the one of the largest teams in our coverage area. So, Robert, for you that if you're just tuning in to D&D, there's a little info on them. Tug Valley, Westside, and Naugatuck should be a good one. I agree. Dustin Huff says, I think so. Not Central's defensive is too good. Said Floyd's defense falls apart second half every game. And then let's see. Gideon Jarvis is glad they don't have Parker now. That kid is an elite wide receiver. I agree with you. That would be a lot taller mountain to climb if they had Parker. And Robert Evans, he's another one that, he's a superstar that people don't talk about because where he's at, he don't get much pub. But that kid, Bradley, he can win a ball game himself for you.
He can, and I tell you, and he'll get more publicity, as Tulsa gets better as well. Unfortunately, sometimes we overlook guys who are on teams that aren't winning as much. So,
well, that's what happens when you don't allow media.
Well, that too. Well, it's like one of those things this year. Like Caden Vance at Westside this year. I could see that coming because of how he was doing last year. But not a lot of people came into the year talking about him.
Yeah.
And now, he's exploding. I could see it coming. But I think we're going to see the same thing, at Tulsa with Robert Evans.
Let's see here. Scott, 53-0 over Sissonville. Big win there. Scott takes care of business. One, you got to win the game you're supposed to win, and Scott did it there. So, Winfield 28-14 win over Chapmanville. This one, I think the score shows it's a little closer than what it was from what I heard that Winfield, the game never was in doubt. So
Winfield's got a really good program there. Chapmanville's still growing into some things.
Listen, I'd rather take a beating than cover a game at Winfield. When you go there, you got to climb a wooden ladder that's got rotted boards on it. And I mean, listen, there's going to be a lawsuit against Winfield if they don't get that fixed, because that is dangerous. The way you have to climb to get up to the press box. Then let's see. It's Shelby Valley over Reedsville Eastern. Reedsville Eastern 40-18. That game was on Saturday, and we had it right here on D&D Sports Network. So big loss for Shelby Valley. But listen, Shelby Valley, that's what sucks for Coach Johnson and crew, because this was a win on the schedule for them. And Millsboro ended up dropping out, and now they replaced it with Eastern on last minute notice. Bradley, Eastern went 12-3 last season, I think it was, they said.
Yes.
So 12-3 and
4-0 now this year. So
yeah, and Shelby Valley looks like they was going to have a chance to win that game. At the beginning, their side, they was much more. They was the bigger team, but Reedsville just too much speed, too many playmakers, and then Spring Valley loses to Jefferson. And Bradley, we both kind of said this was a possibility of happening.
Yeah, actually, that was my prediction. Being a little familiar with Jefferson's program, they always have a lot of speed on the outside. Jefferson always has a really good track program, and those track athletes play wide receiver. And
yeah,
they do. There's not too many teams in the state that can keep up with them. There's like Martinsburg and teams like that, but overall, they can just go past teams. And you look at Spring Valley now, giving up over 60 points to Hurricane last week and 45 in this one. They've got some things to work on defense.
Now, Joe Kinzer says Tug can't sleep on Morgan County in 2 weeks. Is that Morgan County, Kentucky?
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be a tough one. That'll be a tough game for them.
They play at Morgan County in 2 weeks. That was originally supposed to, I believe, be the St. Joe game before St. Joe had to cancel its season.
That will be a tough game for Tug.
But yeah, that'll be in 2 weeks. Be a lot of points, and stuff, and I do have projected West Virginia point standings too.
Okay, you can show that to us here in a second. Morgan County worth 14 points for Tug, currently being 3A in West Virginia rankings. Joe Kinzer says.
Yep, big point game for Tug Valley.
Chris Bishop says West Side team 14 and 15 went to the state semis. Scott and Indy is a good one for next week. Destiny Coleman says, Destiny and Doug Coleman. And then Gideon Jarvis says, do you have to sign a waiver before the climb?
The latter.
Yeah. Well, they didn't make us, but they probably should have, because I'm telling you, I've never in my life seen anything that dangerous. And you know me as a big guy, you don't want to get on stuff like that. I come one hair of refusing to do it. And, that was a tough one. If it was a situation and we wasn't doing the game for RSN, them couple times, I would not have went up them, that ladder. And,
I've been in a few situations where it was sketchy to get to. So
yeah. Then Robert Gray says, how is Ashland, Kentucky doing this year? Ashland's doing great. They're undefeated, or no, they lost one game, Robert. And but Ashland and Johnson Central is 1-2 ranked. JC is 1, Ashland 2 in the mountains right now. Chris Bishop says Bridgeport versus Senior in 3A in Charleston's going to be good.
Bridgeport hasn't given up a point this year.
Yep. Gideon Jarvis says Eastridge, then St. Joe, now Morgan County. So they had 3 games drop out on them there.
Yeah, so I guess it was Eastridge, and then St. Joe picked up St. Joe after Eastridge dropped them. And then now it's Morgan County. So they had a hard time filling that slot.
Well, I tell you what, guys, we are taking and running late on time here, so we're going to go. Bradley, you save that projected points for tomorrow, and we'll go over them.
Sounds good.
Guys, we want to thank each and every one of you guys for tuning in. Listen, tomorrow we got a lot to talk about, as we're going to start talking a little bit about next week. We still got some highlights that we want to show you from this week. Got a lot of good stories. And hopefully we'll have Coach Weffenstat from the OPB Swish on. Make sure you guys come back and join us in the morning at 8 a.m., your number one morning show here in the Coalfields. Bradley Dameron, JJ Pruitt, and Darryl McCoy. Till next time, so long and goodbye.